They tell you to delay Social Security for a bigger check. But what they don't tell you is that Gen X was the generation sacrificed to save the system for those drawing it now. That wait until 70 advice, it may sound smart, but it wasn't built for our advantage. It was built to keep Social Security alive. So before you follow that guidance, ask yourself, bigger for who? Because the real winners, they're not always who you think. Okay, point number one that I want to cover is how the delay until 70 idea even began. So just a quick history lesson. When Social Security was created, there was just one age, 65, that was it. No early claiming and no waiting for a bigger check. Then in the late 50s for women and the early 60s for men, the option to claim early at 62 was enacted. It wasn't until 1983 that later claiming ages came into play because the system was in big trouble. So the 1983 Social Security amendments were passed to keep the system solvent as boomers aged. One of those amendments was those born after 1960. They would see their full retirement age advance to 67, meaning Gen Xers and late boomers took the hit on that one. And another big change was the option to delay all the way to age 70 with an 8% boost each year that you postpone. Now, why does all of this matter? Because these options, they weren't created to help you win. They were designed to save the program. Back then, their objective was making sure that Social Security survived the boomer wave that was to come. So who paid for the fix? We did, Gen X. And at that very same time, back in the early 80s, that's when 401ks were being introduced. So that was going to be the deal for our new retirement. In other words, you guys probably don't need to count on Social Security. You need to kind of do it yourself. Figure out your own retirement. Now, it sounded like a reward, but it was really just a move to protect Social Security. If you want to delay, that's fewer years of payout, which equals less strain on the trust fund. So from the start, the delay until 70 rule, it wasn't set up for us to get more. It was designed to make the math work for the future, but with worse odds for the upcoming generations. Okay, the second point that I want to make is who really wins when you wait? Now first, let's get real about this idea that you waiting is your money working for you. Now, you don't have a Social Security account with your name on it with a lump of money sitting in it, earning interest or compounding over time. No, Social Security is a pay-as-you-go system. The only accounts that work that way for you are your own personal savings accounts or investment accounts. So when you delay, you're choosing not to collect yet. But meanwhile, life still goes on. The bills are still coming in the mail. You've got to have money somehow. So you decide you're going to live off your savings, your 401k, your IRA, your brokerage account. And every dollar that you pull to cover expenses is a dollar that's no longer invested and no longer growing for you. Now, yes, sure, your Social Security check, it's growing 8% each year that you delay, but that's on a small base. Your nest egg is likely larger, and you're shrinking it every year that you delay. 8% on $24,000 a year, which is the average full retirement age Social Security check, $24,000 a year, versus 8% on, say, a $500,000 401k balance. So who really wins when you wait? Well, there are some winners here, and first, of course, the Social Security Administration wins. When people delay, the administration pays out for fewer years. And of course, they save money. And some people never reach their break-even age. It also possibly helps to delay the 2033 projected trust fund shortfall, because if you continue to work, you'll continue to pay those payroll taxes into the system to help keep it afloat a little while longer. Also, indirectly, financial firms and insurance companies, they benefit from you delaying. Your plan to wait until you're 70 probably will also include you saving a lot more money, investing a lot more money in order to be able to make that delay work. Okay, so financial firms, they will charge you fees for these investments. Insurance companies, they'll benefit from those who choose to buy annuities in order to bridge that gap. And third, you could also say that those who are drawing Social Security today, they will benefit if we wait. But you, how do you win in this situation? Well, you'll only benefit by waiting if the personal math for you works. And there's at least 4 ways that it needs to do that. 1, you need to live well into your 80s, past the break-even age. And it's always close to 80 years old, usually. So you need to live well into your 80s and beyond in order to reap the benefits of waiting. Number 2, you need to stay healthy enough in your 60s to continue to earn income or be able to bridge your income until 70. Number 3, you have to make sure you don't drain your savings as a result of waiting. And number 4, the markets, they need to behave all through your 60s while you're taking that money out. You don't want to suffer from any sequence of returns events that early in your retirement. Now, that's a lot of ifs. How many can be sure to check off all of those boxes? I'm thinking the odds, they're stacked. Now, waiting can make sense if you're married and your spouse benefits from a larger survivor payout. Or number 3, you already have guaranteed income, like a pension or rental income coming in, a side business, something that bridges that gap where you don't really need to take Social Security before 70. In those instances, waiting for that bigger check could be smart. But let's talk about when delay backfires. Now, for a lot of Gen Xers, the math doesn't work out like what I just described. For one, let's talk about single earners, those never married. The survivor spousal benefit doesn't apply for them. Also, with only one income coming in, they may not be able to afford to wait until 70. Something else that you may need to consider is if you continue to work and earn income through your 60s, you need to be careful and be aware of the Medicare IRMA surcharges. If you earn over a specific amount, which taking money out of your 401k also counts as income. And also, Medicare will look back 2 years prior. And then also those with health issues or a family history of shorter life expectancy, they may never hit that break-even age. Or if you have health issues that prevents you from still earning an income in your 60s. Those are all things that have to be considered as well. And according to CDC data, 1 in 3 people die before the age of 80. And if that's you, that means you've spent years draining your savings for a benefit you never fully use. You've probably also considered the thought of, well, if I wait until 70 to claim, then I'll have more money coming in my 80s and beyond. But first, let's just talk about the money you'll likely need after the age of 80. Because that's when they say expenses go way down, with the exception of health care and long-term care. Now, health care is more of a, yeah, that'll probably happen. Long-term care, you don't know. But most other things, shopping, even the amount you spend on food, just things, spending goes way down. So you're waiting for that much bigger check in your 80s. Now maybe a bigger Social Security check could upgrade you to a nicer, nursing home. But I doubt it. For our generation, the question isn't, should I delay? It's actually, can I afford to? The smart move is evaluating your life, not someone else's idea. And maybe one spouse claims early while the other waits. Maybe you start claiming at 62 or 65 so you can preserve your investments. Maybe you work part-time so you don't raid your 401k. I think a lot of us, we're afraid we're going to make the wrong decision. And that's why I wanted to do this video, so that I could bring in points from all different sides. I wanted you to know why the delay until 70 even exists in the first place. Now, for me personally, here's how I think about it. I don't enjoy working, and I do want to retire someday. Now, my savings, they are improving, but they're nowhere near a carefree amount. And I am single, so there is no other person for me to consider in this. So since I don't want to work full-time until the age of 70, and I don't necessarily want to burn through all my savings in my 60s, now I'll likely claim somewhere between the ages of 62 and 65. There was a Schroeder's survey done last year that says Gen Xers, 44% of us, they want to do about the same as what I just said. Now, waiting until 70, for me, that's a gamble I'm not really interested in. But everyone has to decide for themselves. And I think everyone should do the math. And my goal is to help you see this through a Gen X lens. Social Security timing, it's a strategy for sure. And the right one depends on your health, your savings, and your life. So Gen X, here we are again at a crossroads with Social Security. They future whacked us in 1983. And now, just as we near those ages to where we can start claiming, they drop another bomb on us with the 23% possible, cut in 2033. And forgive me here for just a little political opinion. If you make the benefit bad enough, then the public starts begging for something completely different. And I believe that the boomers, they are protected, and as long as they're still here, we'll get to share in some of that protection. But once they're gone, we go back to being the forgotten generation. So the next time someone says, wait for the bigger benefit, ask yourself, bigger for who? Because when you delay, the government buys time, and maybe you win if life goes perfectly. So take a look at this video next. Boomers versus Gen X retirement, the 6 crushing financial differences. I've linked it right here. So thank you for hanging out with me today. I would love to hear from you in the comments. When do you think you'll claim Social Security? Will you wait? I hope you have a great week. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.